Hey everybody, this is my week 4, chapter 6 reflection video. I just like to start out by talking about the concept of perception that seemed to be a recurring theme here in chapter 4. Um, the book kind of describes it as the way we take like something external and then make sense of it internally, and how that our perception ultimately shapes our worldview. And the first thing that I found extremely interesting was the amount of labels one can place on culture. Uh, I always thought of culture as being something that was either, something traditional, like, for example, like Chinese culture or Japanese culture, or progressive. And one might say, the United States culture is fairly progressive compared to those cultures in Japan or China. So yeah, the amount of labels was really surprising to me. Just for example, like universalism versus particularism, or individualism versus collectivism, a loose culture, a tight culture. I always just thought of either being progressive or traditional, and it was interesting to see how many other ways you can look at it, and not just with this one one or the other way. Um, Going off of that, I think something that kind of came to my attention while looking over all of this was how, um, at least the way I see things in our society is how one track minded we are when it comes to culture, and how the way we do things day to day, it varies so much from the way things are done in Norway, for example. And when we see when we see that like differing, that difference, we automatically assume, oh, because it's different from us, it must be incorrect or it must be wrong, because we're always right. When in reality, the people in Norway look at the American culture, and they see how it varies from theirs, and they automatically assume, oh, like those Americans, like they don't align at all with the culture that we hold here. So I think, especially in this class, learning, interculturally, how we can come together and kind of recognize our differences it's extremely vital in preventing things like war and just basic diplomacy. So yeah, those were the two main things that I found. Um, I also was super interested in the tables that the book provided, um, and how you could score a culture on a culture, or for a culture. Um, it just seems interesting to me, putting a numerical value on something that you wouldn't normally think of holding like value in that way. Um, so I think the tables definitely helped me, at least, um, differentiate and to kind of put uh, like connect uh, connect a country to a certain label. I'm looking right now at the exclusionist and universalist scores for the 43 countries, table 6.13, and I think it helped me seeing, okay, Ethiopia is extremely exclusionist because they scored in 1,000, while Norway scored a 34, so they're very universalist. So it was easier for me to look at the scores and then kind of place the country with the label. And I really liked that for most of these labelings. But yeah, I think for the most part, that's the main part that I got out of it. Um, I think just looking at the rankings and just the different charts were extremely interesting. One last thing I really I enjoyed as well was looking at the high uncertainty and low uncertainty avoidance. In Patricia Cole's Principles of Management class, we talked about that in depth, and on how some cultures really value, variance in day-to-day operations, while others are always planning for the same exact thing. So it was nice to kind of see some familiar topics and kind of, use that familiarity to connect with things that aren't so familiar. Thank you.